Hey guys, this is Christine with Truth Seeking with Christine. Welcome. I haven't been around for a bit because I've just had a lot going on. I had my daughter get married. We went out to Costa Rica for 8 days. And then when I was there, I started really thinking about like, what do I want to do with this channel? Because as you see in my other videos that I've been doing, I think I filmed, I don't know how many, 20 maybe, of videos. And they were basically out of the book of Colossians, and I was breaking down a verse at a time, which is great. And I love that because my point for all of that was to prompt conversation, which I love having conversation. And I am so good at when I feel like when I just talk, I flow better. But what happened was that it just became so edited and so teachy. And I don't think I'm a really good teacher. I mean, even though my husband will say, "Yeah, you're a good teacher," and I'm like, "But I'm not. I don't feel I am." You know what I like to do? I like to have a cup of coffee or something, or a glass of wine or something, and just kind of talk. And that's what I'm doing this morning. As I decided to, why not? Let me just pop on here and let's have a little chat. And today's little chat is going to be about our body image. And if you are a woman who has struggled with her appearance for years, and you would think like I'm 54 and I'm thinking like even in my 50s I'm still like dealing with this, even after having eight children I'm still dealing with them, even after being married. I've been married to my husband since I was 22. Like we've been young and 30 years, and I'm still dealing with like the way I look and my body image and all of that. And I started thinking that I was like, whoa, this is like a deep rooted thing. And I started thinking yesterday I sat there and I was like, okay, I feel that a lot of my childhood, because I was never less skinny girl. I was never a skinny girl. I was always like more of a chubby one. and, and I would compare myself a lot to my sister, who was very thin. And at the time, now she's in her midlife and she's not as thin as she used to be. Anyway, but when she was little, I always compared her to that. And not just that. I was teased by my sister because she was thinner and skinnier and all of that. And I always thought she was prettier and much better. And this is now my youngest, not youngest, younger. This is my younger sister. She's about 3 years younger. But also, I do remember that my parents would like basically like, not, I don't want to say bully, but they would basically say that you shouldn't be eating so much, you're getting fat, or just a lot of that. You're getting fat, all of that was a constant thing in my mind. Like, you're getting fat, you're fat, and that's what I would hear. And that affected my worth and my self-esteem, all of it. It affected everything. And it affected about how people would see me, the outside world, and even those little thoughts, well, they're not little, they're huge. I think, as I was thinking about them yesterday, because I wake up sometimes thinking, I'm like, I gotta lose this weight, I gotta go do something about it. And oh, I gotta get on Weight Watchers, or I gotta get on some sort of plan, and I shouldn't be eating so much and all of that. But then I'm thinking, I'm like, I don't think I eat a lot, I think I eat normal. It's just, and also the whole idea of just being midlife, I'm 54, and my hormones have changed and everything. But that's beside the point. What I'm talking about here is just my thoughts that have been subconsciously deep rooted, that carry me on. And it might not be like one of those thoughts that I say, oh, of course, I think I'm beautiful, which I do, right? Okay, so we'd say, oh, I think I'm beautiful. But then there's this underlying, and this is the subconscious, this underlying feeling that I'm not beautiful. I'm not worth it, or whatever, worthy or whatever. I am not, uh, you know, people look at me and they think I'm fat or whatever, right? And so these are like those thoughts that I have to deal with on a, I would say on a daily basis. And they're not, and when I mean by the thoughts, they're like a subconscious, because I'm thinking they're more a feeling rather than an actual thought. I don't know. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. And so you know, as I'm sharing this openly, it is a problem, I think, not just with women maybe in their 50s and 60s, that where we came out of that era where we would look at a magazine cover and we're like, we want to look like Cindy Crawford and Elma McPherson and Claudia Schiffer and all of these beautiful women, and we were comparing ourselves, where I'm like, I'm comparing myself to what, a 6 foot tall blonde Scandinavian woman, whereas I'm like a short 5 foot one. You know, I was probably 130 pounds in high school. Uh, you know, on the chubbier side, Hispanic woman, comparing myself to a supermodel on a cover of a magazine, or even if they were women, or let me take it back, girls, because this is, I'm talking about my teen years. There were girls in my high school that were like beautiful blonde skinny girls, and even when I say that, like, you hear the way I'm talking about them, it's like this beautiful, like, you know, oh, they're beautiful and I'm not. Okay, so it's interesting because there's this ad that just came out, right? And a lot of people are saying like, oh, it's about time we just, like, you know, stop with this woke crap and all of that. And I'm not going to say it's like I agree that American Eagle, I think that's the company. I don't even know of this. The Sweeney girl that came, the beautiful young woman, that's the Sweeney girl, and that, you know, and everybody's like, oh, she's so gorgeous, and bring back those models that we used to know back in the '80s and all of that. And I'm like, yeah, that's wonderful, but it does subconsciously do something to our mind when a young girl, say, right, like a 5 foot one on the chubbier side, and they're looking at that, and every guy's like, oh, she's hot, she's hot, she's hot. And then you're just like thinking, who am I, right? And that's what I dealt with. I dealt with that in my younger years, from the time I could remember, where that in even in elementary school, I'd see the little boys, right, looking at these girls that they would say, she's hot, right? And I'm just like, what about me, right? I'm thinking like, what about me? What am I? What am I? And so then that would constantly be, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not skinny enough, my body, my this, my that. And which then in my latter years, like in high school to early college years, I had an eating disorder. It was more on the bulimic side. I was never anorexic, but it was more on the bulimic side. And I still, even after I had lost whatever weight I felt like I needed to lose, and I was eating nothing. I mean, I was eating nothing, okay? And I was still like not losing, right? And I was just kind of like stuck in that. And I'm going to the gym and I'm working out all the time. And that's another thing. I had like exercise, what do they call it? Exercise bulimia, where I'm just like, I'll eat and then I exercise for like 2 hours. And then I did that, and I wake up in the morning and go to bed at right before I go to bed at night, to work out, and then after work I'd go and work out. So it was just like a lot of working out that I did, plus eating nothing, right? A yogurt and 2 pretzels. And I was like, I'm so ugly, you know, like I felt that. Even though when I got into college, I have to take that back. Even though when I got into college, I still felt, yes, I kind of wish that I looked like those prettier young models or whatever. But I felt like I was starting to accept my curves. I remember there's a woman at work when I was working at my job, one of my first jobs when I moved out. I She's like, I was telling her how I feel fat and all of that. And she looks at me and she's like, "You're not fat." She's like, "You're just voluptuous." And I took that as an offense. I was like, "I do not want to be voluptuous." Now, at the time, I was smaller than, I'd ever been, I guess, and I was working out like crazy, but I still didn't like it, and I didn't care for myself like that way. So, as I've gotten older and had kids and all of that, it's just been like a back and forth kind of thing, like a back and forth, back and forth. And I realized the other day, because they like those feelings, those thoughts, like to sneak in and tell you whatever it is. Those are deep rooted thoughts subconsciously to bring you down, to bring your feeling down, to make you feel worthless or whatever. And I realized that I was like, whoa, this is crazy, and I am not going to take it anymore. I mean, come on, right? That's how I always say, I'm like, come on, right? Like, I am loved by my husband. I am loved by God. I am loved by my family. And who am I wanting to appeal to? Appease? Like, what is it, and what is going on in my mind that I need to look a certain way to feel good about myself? And so when I started thinking that, because I'm not going to go out and like pick up, like I'm not going out and looking for a new man, and I'm not. I don't know. It's like, it's funny though, but this is what I'm challenging you to. If you struggle, in with what I'm saying, if you understand what I'm saying, and you have struggled with that idea of body image, um, definitely, definitely ask yourself those questions. Like, what am I feeling like this for? Why do I want to look a certain way? For what and for who? Right? And we can all say, well, it's for me. Of course, it's for me. And maybe it is. And do it for yourself, obviously. Like today, I said, you know what? I'm going to go, and I had worked out. That's another thing with the working out. Like I was doing it to stay a certain weight. And so my weight's been up and down, being in my 50s. So today I was like, I'm going to go work out. I want to do it for me. Maybe that'll make me feel better. And I did. I worked out, and it's been a while, and it made me feel better. Anyway, and also, you know, I guess what I'm saying is just like, check your thoughts, check those feelings, because most of them are subconscious and they come from our childhood. All right, I think that's it. I'm not going to talk anymore about this, and maybe next time I'll come back with something else, because I got a lot to say. All right, take care.